Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Please ignore my nails. Glad we got that out of the way. So if you haven't noticed, Stranger Things season 3 came out. Obviously I watched it, and obviously if you're watching this video, you watched it. So I did this last year, and I love looking into the predictions and theories about next season after I finish the seasons. So I compiled like all the theories and predictions that I found on Reddit, Twitter, YouTube, anywhere, and I put them into this video so that you guys can hear what other people are thinking about season 4 of Stranger Things. First, I'm going to talk about what I thought of the season, what I liked, what I didn't like, and then I'm going to get into some of the theories. So, things I did like. I liked that they recognize that they're older. You know what I mean? Their scripts and characters are growing as they're growing, which I do appreciate. I appreciate that they don't think of the kids as kids anymore, because obviously they are like 15 and 16 years old now. When they started, they were like 11 or something. I am happy that they are recognizing that and they're making their characters more mature. Like when it first started off, when I saw Mike and Eleven making out, I was watching it by myself, but I physically went, oh, because I was like so taken aback. And I think a lot of people were when they were like making out. I think everyone was kind of like, oh my gosh, every time. But like, it makes sense. I also really liked that Steve, which if you watch my last video, I've always been a fan of Steve. I love Steve, my king. He was a bigger role again. Like, yes, king, go off. Like, get those Russians. Like, yes, king. I liked how they were all split up, if that makes sense. Like doing things that all relate to the same thing, but none of them knew it. I liked that. And then how they all came together at the end, it made it more like of a powerful fight at the end, if that makes sense. Like they all came together when they were in the Star Court, and they're like, wait, what were you doing? Wait, what were you doing? Wait, explain. And then it all went together, which I really liked. Also, is anyone else just like literally so bored of Nancy and Jonathan? Like I said this in my last video a year and a half ago, like I am so bored of them. I was texting my sister about it because she watches, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Jonathan is literally so boring. He's only there so Nancy has a boyfriend. Like Nancy was at least doing something, like she was like doing research and like trying to like actually dig into everything. Jonathan was just like there besides trying to fuck around with Eleven's leg. I'm sorry if like everyone is obsessed with him, but like holy cow. Anyway, now let's go into like predictions for next season. So first of all, the ending. People think that Hopper is dead, but majority kind of know he's not. We can all assume he's not dead. And I'm not just saying that because the post-credit scene in it, it says, no, not the American, when they're like going into the chambers. A lot of people think that's Hopper. It could be Hopper, or it could be Barb, or it could be Murray. People are saying that Hopper, you don't see, there's a blackout, you don't see his body, you don't see any like remnants of him. You only see the Russians get taken and destroyed and killed. People think Hopper jumped into the Upside Down when it was closing. People think that he just jumped right in and he's stuck in there. Now the Barb and Murray thing. So people think it's Barb because we never saw her body. We know that she was in the Upside Down. And it's safe to assume that Hawkins isn't the only place that you can get into the Upside Down through. People think that the Russians had gone in through whatever portal they were going through, found her, and have kept her there. And that's why she's in there. So people think it could be Barb. People think it's Murray because in the end, after the Americans came in and Joyce and Murray were like, we're Americans. That's the last we saw of Murray. We never saw his ending. We saw everyone else's kind of like departure. We never saw Murray again for the rest of the season, like the whole ending. So people think that Murray, the Americans, took him and said, listen, you know Russian, why don't we give you to the Russians and you're a spy. Sarah just made a YouTube channel.
I did. I'm trying to come from Abel's brand.
But aren't we all? And they wanted him to go to the Russians and be a spy and figure out what they're doing. So I don't know if that's like a true theory, but it could be possible. So Murray could be one of the people in the chamber as a spy. So everyone's kind of wondering how are they going to get everyone back into Hawkins? Because basically what people are assuming that season 4 is going to be the last season, the finale of all Stranger Things. So there needs to be one final battle, and obviously it's going to happen in Hawkins. I feel like that's the only way to kind of close it. So people are wondering, how are we going to get everything that's tied into Stranger Things that's happened so far back to Hawkins, and how is everyone going to get back together because it ended with everyone splitting up? So people are saying that Mike is gonna go find Eleven's sister, and he's gonna go search for her and other people with those powers, and have a big battle to defeat whatever the final monster or the final obstacle is gonna be, because 11 doesn't have her powers right now, so they need someone who does. So I think Mike is gonna go off and find her sister. Also, people think that 11 lost her powers because of the mind flare when it was inside of her, and that all the chemicals they were consuming was because the mind flare figured out that's what will soak up her powers and take them away. So when he bit her, he left a piece of her in there so it would like consume all of her powers. People are also thinking that Nancy and Steve may get back together because there's going to be some kind of fight between Jonathan and Nancy, because there already was like tension. So people are thinking that they're gonna get back together. Some people are thinking that Jonathan may propose to Nancy in the next season and she's gonna turn him down. A lot of people are assuming that Susie's gonna be a bigger role next season, that they're gonna bring her to Hawkins, or she's gonna come visit Dustin and she's gonna be there during the time of everything that's happening. I think that's pretty a safe assumption. They wouldn't just throw a character in there for just to be a character. I think that she obviously had an important role this season, figuring out the code. So I think that she will come visit Dustin. Also, sadly, what a majority of people are kind of leaning towards is that 11's gonna die in the end. I think there's gonna have to be like a big sacrifice, and 11 has been sacrificing herself since season 1, trying to save people, like getting herself hurt and beat around, and I think that she's gonna feel as though that she needs to step forward and sacrifice herself, because the mind flare was saying that he wanted her the entire season. So I think that the only way to completely end it is if she dies. But that's what people are thinking. I hope that's not what happens, but I don't know. Now, the only thing about bringing back 11's sister is that everyone hated not only her, but that entire episode, that entire plot line from season 2. Everyone hated it. So if they were to do that, they would have to be extremely careful. And I think they know that everyone hated that episode and that entire plot point. I hated it. So a lot of people were talking about Will Byers and his character, and how pretty much when you think about it, Stranger Things wouldn't be Stranger Things without Will Byers. He was the original person that got into the whole Demogorgon thing. He was the one that had the monster inside of him. Like, he technically has like this like kind of a connection with it. I was thinking watching this season, like watching his acting and watching to see if he acted as though him and it had a connection. I know they had the whole like back tingling neck thing, but I feel like Will and the Mind Flayer do have this connection. And I think Will knows it, and I think the Mind Flayer knows it. And people are saying that he may have powers that he doesn't know about. The whole part of Dungeons and Dragons, each character that they play correlates, like the description of that character in the game correlates to each character in the show, kind of. Like their identities and their characteristics. And Will was like the master wizard. And so people are saying he could have powers and that he doesn't know them yet. And that he could be the new 11, I guess. I don't really know. Like, just have powers that he doesn't know about yet. So hopefully, I was really sad like how much they didn't incorporate him in season 3. Like, he was there and like did stuff, but he really didn't have like a huge role. Like, I felt like Dustin was really prominent throughout the entire season. Obviously 11 and Mike. And I just feel like Will was just like there, and he was the one who kind of like told them when it was there, the Mind Flayer. So I really hope they like amp his character up next season, because I really do think that there is something with Will and the Mind Flare and the Demigorgons or Demidogs or whatever that he has that connection with, that he just doesn't really know about yet, besides knowing when it's there, like having that feeling. Oh, people are also talking about how Will may be gay. It was kind of hinted at this season. And now that they're all going to high school, it could be more of a thing, just because like Will hasn't really had like an experience of like the coming of age experience. It's kind of like he obviously was like going through a lot. So people are saying that he didn't have like time to fully like develop his thoughts and him as a person because he's been busy with all this. And so now he's kind of just coming to realization of these thoughts of maybe being gay. That could be super interesting. Now introducing like two, maybe, well, one of them bisexual, lesbian, not very like clarified, and then maybe if Will's gay, that'd be super cool, like trying to incorporate that and seeing where that goes. But yet again, it's also, if season 4 is the last season, it'd be kind of a rush to like rush the whole Will being gay thing. I don't know how they're gonna do that if he is gay. He may not be, I don't know. People were just talking about how that was kind of insinuated throughout season 3. All right, so those are kind of all my theories and predictions. There's a ton on Reddit, you guys can go look. Yeah, so I hope you guys like this video. Please like and subscribe right down below, and I will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.